Do you know the scientists out at Hamadi Station?
The old married couple? Azad and Shireen, if I remember right. I've met them a few times. They seemed a little eccentric, but were otherwise quite nice.
That's them, yes. They're apparently looking for some help with their research. They made some kind of discovery that has them troubled.
Good luck finding help at a time like this.
Indeed. Yet the Serpent provides for the faithful, so who knows?
Nothing is truly impossible. The Great Serpent will deliver us from this. I know it.
Let us hope whatever experiments were going on here are not running loose.
Got another report from one of the growth farms.
This almost seems better suited to a surveillance post than a research lab.
Whatever this is, it seems to be spreading. Still no word from the city about a research assistant?
Nothing. And I'm not really surprised in light of recent events.
Be patient, dear. The Serpent provides. We're always happy to welcome curious minds.
Hello! Welcome to Hamadi Station. I do hope you're here about the research assistant opening. We haven't had many promising applicants.
By which he means we haven't had any applicants.
Well, yes. Thank you for the painful reminder, oh love of my life. I'm Azad Dubas. My wife Shireen and I are scientists. We've been quite busy lately and are greatly in need of some help. We put out a call for a research assistant, but with recent events, we haven't had much luck.
By which he means we haven't had any luck.
This could become tiresome quickly.
So, are you interested in a little field work? Gathering data, mostly. Nothing too strenuous, I assure you. Well said indeed. I've always believed that the Great Serpent looks with favor upon those who seek knowledge and enlightenment. My wife and I have been studying a recent and somewhat troubling phenomenon. You see, the local wildlife has been dying, and we're not sure why. The remains show no signs of external injury or trauma, so we can rule out most of the usual causes.
Fighting for dominance or territory, predators, hunters looking for sport, those sorts of things.
We began to see this phenomenon just after the accident in Dazra. We're convinced these events are linked, but the exact nature of the connection remains a mystery. We don't know that they aren't. For all we know, the same thing is happening to people right now, just more slowly. All the more reason to work with a sense of urgency. Well, no, not yet. However, I'm confident that the process will prove the hypothesis to be correct. An accurate assertion. This is where you come in. I need you to search for corpses of local wildlife and collect tissue samples. I'll give you a biosample collector that will extract and store the samples safely. Try to collect samples from different kinds of creatures. We want to cast a wide net. Return here when you've got them, and we'll begin the analysis.
The prospect of tearing rotten flesh from animal corpses is not what I would call appetizing.
You're looking for creatures without an obvious cause of death. There should be no wounds, no blood, no sign of physical trauma. What we are searching for is an invisible killer. Off you go then, and no dragging your feet. You're on the clock as of now. It could take time to find the right kind of animal carcass. Be patient and be diligent. When my wife and I first moved out here, it was for practical reasons. It allowed us to observe the plants and creatures we study in their natural habitat. Having said that, I've grown very fond of the peace, quiet, and solitude that we enjoy here. I don't think I could return to the city now. I'm sure I'd find it too noisy and distracting. I suppose in some ways it's much the same as in other cultures. We seek a greater understanding of our world through observation and reason. We do this work in service to the people, that all may benefit. Well, for me, they do not. No. Some doubt the value of our work, and others consider science to be nearly a cousin to heresy. I suppose there are many perspectives regarding the coexistence of faith and science. What about you? Do you believe that faith and science sit in contradiction to one another? Then we're of one mind on the subject. I'll go even further and say that they must coexist, for both are vital in any successful civilization. Ecological studies, mainly. Shireen's field of expertise is botany, and mine is biology. We keep an eye on the flora and fauna, the health of which are vital to the local settlements. The people, the creatures, and the land exist in symbiosis, as the Great Serpent intended. May the Great Serpent guide your steps.
What a delightful question. I'm so glad you asked. You see, it's something of a point of pride. It was my mother who designed the layout for Hamadi Station. She was a gifted architect, as well as a botanist, and yet still found the time to be a wonderful mother. She married an engineer, and they built this place together. Hamadi was my father's family name. In many ways, I suppose my parents were my heroes as a child. By the grace of the Serpent, we were spared. Even so, my dreams have been filled with darkness and dread every night. I believe the Great Serpent is testing us, and we must rise to the challenge. We must be strong and resourceful and prove our devotion beyond all doubt. Only then will we prove ourselves worthy. Goodbye now.
Winner takes all is the phrase, is it not? Considerable effort went into making at least some portion of this water sanitary. sorry that was an unfortunate accident.
Welcome back. Did you have any difficulty obtaining those tissue samples? What can I say? Sometimes fieldwork requires a hearty constitution. Your arrival is well timed. Some interesting new information has come to light. I'll take those tissue samples, and here's your payment. Shireen, dear, would you tell our dauntless research assistant about the latest news?
With pleasure. I hope you enjoyed your little jaunt into the field because I'll be sending you right back out there. Some of the local farmers and growth herders have reported seeing unusual plant growth in the area. What's more, none of this unusual growth was seen before the Dazra incident. It's increasingly clear the event affected the ecosystem in some way, but the details elude us. It's possible, but I prefer not to speculate. Better to keep an open mind and let the research tell the tale. A change in appearance, at the very least. It would be difficult and, in fact, irresponsible to leap to any conclusions. If I can get some samples under my microscope, we'll learn much more, I think. My thinking exactly. You really are cut out for this kind of work. Based on our information, these unusual new strains aren't limited to a specific area. As such, we want to examine samples that come from several different locations. In short, the more data you can provide, the better.
Observe, analyze, hypothesize, and prove. These are the tenets of the scientific method. Without them, we're just fumbling in the dark.
Yes, thank you, dear. You'll have to forgive my husband. He's never fully recovered from his days as a teacher. You can, and indeed you should. The storage tubes built into the device are sterilized and will keep the samples pure. Proper research requires the proper tools. Agreed. I've always felt sorry for those who can't find work they truly love. The days must feel like sheer drudgery. We'll get to work studying the animal tissue. Now go forth and travel safely.
Keep your eyes and ears open, and you'll find what you're looking for. We'll get to the bottom of this mist. Be watchful as you travel.
It was good to talk.
Mind your surroundings. Even the plants here can be dangerous.
our roving research assistant returns. I know we've asked you to travel far and wide. Hopefully it wasn't too much trouble. Good. It seems that things have been going smoothly so far. Perhaps it's a sign that the Great Serpent favors our work. Here's the payment for those plant samples. I have good news. We've got a strong working theory about what's killing the local wildlife. The tissue samples you collected point to poisoning as the likely cause of death. Far from it, I'm afraid. Even if there were, we'd be treating the symptom without addressing the cause. Oh, I very much doubt anyone is. There'd be no reason to do so. We depend on these creatures in more ways than one. Also, the incidents are widespread and affecting multiple species. No, I'm convinced this is not the hand of man. I'm afraid so. Needless to say, the urgency of our work has increased somewhat. The evidence suggests that some force is acting on the ecosystem, changing it somehow. We don't yet have the complete picture, but there is one tool left to us. Would you care to explain, my dear?
With pleasure. To aid in our monitoring of local conditions, we designed a multi-function sensor suite. The device records data for weather, atmospheric pressure, radiation,
Airborne particulates, seismic disturbances, gravitic fluctuations.
Could we please move on?
Oh, well, yes, of course. We placed several of these sensors throughout the area. Each device can upload its data to a slate for comparison and analysis. There are 4 sensor devices currently deployed in the field. We spread them out to cover the widest possible area. Indeed. Let's hope our sensors can deliver on that promise. Here, take this. Transfer the data from each of the sensors and then bring the slate back to me. In the meantime, we'll see what we can learn about these unusual plant specimens. We'll solve this riddle yet.
I find both joy and serenity in the simple act of tending a garden. Farewell, far traveler.
Oh, welcome back. Time to see if our sensors can peel back another layer of the mystery. Did you notice anything unusual in the environmental data? Well, that's certainly not what I was expecting to hear. Now, let's have a look, shall we? Seems mundane enough. Oh, now wait just a moment. As I suspected, the sensors simultaneously recorded a single event that produced very unusual impacts. This is our best glimpse yet into the Dazra accident and how it affected the surrounding environs. How interesting! The chronometer seemed to have gone haywire in all 4 of the devices. Even gravity itself seems to have been briefly altered. Remarkable! An astute question. However, I think the answer is no. The readings indicate very subtle shifts that could have gone completely unnoticed. At worst, there might have been a moment of dizziness or a sense of events being a bit earlier or later than expected. Those are hardly uncommon occurrences for most people. For one sensor, perhaps. For all 4? No, it's not possible. As unusual as the readings are, they're accurate. A rudimentary summation, perhaps, but not without merit. Your payment as promised. Now, I'm sure you're wondering what we've learned from the plant tissue samples you brought back. I thought you might say that. So, it seems that a certain local species of flora has suddenly become extremely toxic. These biochemical changes occurred with incredible speed. Notably, the first sightings of these toxic variants coincide with the incident in Dazra. I'm just not sure how the strange effects of the vortex could cause plants to mutate so rapidly.
By triggering a defensive response. Countless species of fauna have evolved to develop protective mechanisms. Poisonous toxins are among the most common such adaptations.
That's true, but those adaptations evolved over generations across long spans of time. These seem to have appeared in a matter of mere days. That shouldn't be possible.
And yet, the sensors documented fluctuations in the very fabric of space and time. Who's to say what's impossible when the fundamental laws that govern our reality are altered? No. Well, not fatally, in any case. However, we rely on the local wildlife as a source of sustenance. If the problem is left unchecked, food shortages and eventually starvation could follow.
Shireen, do you remember that experimental compound you were developing?
The one designed to alter plant biochemistry? Huh. Interesting thought. I'd been theorizing about ways to create edible strains of local flora. It's possible I could alter the formula to neutralize the toxins in the affected species.
There is, however, a not insignificant complication.
I knew you were going to say that.
The experimental compound is locked away in cold storage at the botanical facility. I was growing strains of fungus and mushroom there for medicinal use, but we were attacked. A group of pirates called the Crimson Fleet took over the place, forcing us to leave. Pirates. Here, on Varun Kai. I could scarcely believe it. Mushrooms and fungi can be used to create a wide range of illicit, recreational substances. No doubt such products can fetch a high price. I suspect the pirates seized the facility to fund their operation. Then we'll leave the matter in your capable hands. Go with the Serpent's blessing. We'll be waiting for you here.
True wisdom is living in harmony with nature, rather than seeking to change it. Perhaps, but a review of the facts can often be beneficial. We surmise that the recent incident in Dazra has caused changes in the local ecosystem. We began to hear about corpses of otherwise healthy animals that show no obvious cause of death. Around the same time, strange new specimens of a local plant began to appear. These phenomena don't yet pose any danger to people, but they do impact our sources of sustenance. For that reason, we need to get to the bottom of this mystery and devise a solution. Until our next meeting.
I'll be praying to the Serpent for your safe return. Well, it's just a theory, really. The compound was developed with the intent to expand our range of edible local flora. With some creative genetic editing, I was hoping to boost the nutritional content of plants we don't normally eat. With time and study, that same process could be adapted to remove toxins from poisonous plants. Farewell, far traveler.
Where did you learn to do that? I imagine it was not part of your training as a miner. Do you think the pirates have stashed a hoard of treasure? I suppose it is not that amusing. Give up already. Best not to leave anything useful behind.
Well, look who's back. And still in one piece, no less. Gathering plants in the wild is one thing, but raiding a pirate base is wholly different. Rest assured, I will never doubt you again. I've heard tales about those pirates I don't care to repeat. Suffice it to say, lost appendages and limbs aren't unheard of among those who cross them. That's assuming the stories are to be believed, of course. Have you now? Well, bravo then. When Azad first suggested taking on an assistant, I'll admit that I had my doubts. I'm happy to say that you've laid them all to rest. Here you are. Payment as promised. Did you hear that, love? Our courageous research assistant has delivered yet again.
I never had a shred of doubt. Nothing inspires courage and perseverance like the pursuit of knowledge, I always say.
That is quite literally the first time I've ever heard you say that.
Well, I certainly always think it.
Yes, dear. Of course you do. You've done more than enough as it is. We could hardly ask more of you. We'll get by on our own from here. Indeed we do. Thanks to you, we not only have the answer to our little mystery, but a path to resolving it. Here's a little something extra for a job well done. Best of luck in your future scientific endeavors.
I can't thank you enough for your help.
Do you hear it? The great serpent speaks to you, guides you. Let the great serpent forever guide you.